with an email where someone was asking me about taking the MTS course, but he asked me, do I have a step-by-step guide to how to become a millionaire? And I kind of chuckled a little bit, but I got into answering the email. That was a different kind of question. Good morning. Exactly. All right. Right. All righty. Just a second here. Yeah, it's piece by piece. So yeah, so it looks like the markets are trying to hook up, kind of call it a buy setup, or sometimes refer to this as a hook. So it looks like a fishing hook. Like that's the stem of the hook, and then you got that little thing there. So hooking, we'll see if it actually can do that. So far, it just remains range bound. So really nothing of real significance here. And same story as what we've been talking about: rejection up to the top, rejection down below. And as far as the markets go, just kind of running in place. We'll see if it can move. Today or tomorrow. We typically have this seasonality where the markets, at least for a day or two, whatever, they do well around Thanksgiving. That's my memory of doing this all this years. This pattern is supportive of that if it can get going. And pretty much see it, across the board. So, that one's a little bit more of a downward slope, but same basic thing, spiking up and pulling back and see if it can make the turn. Intraday, it just continues to be a mess, but it's developing. So there's, you can see my cursor as it moves down there. It's moving down, comes down to that pivot low, buyer step up again. It's at the pivot highs, and can it step on the gas? I don't know if it needs a few more hours or a whole day, to move sideways a little bit, because this isn't a great pattern at all. You got, not that it can't go through it if something kicks it in, meaning, there's some news come out that might kick in some event. While we look to the left for prior resistance, there are times that something ignites a move. And while there may be some selling at these places, eventually we see that prices can push up through them with relative ease. Ideally, you get this movement sideways with prices, however they form, gets a little bit further away from, those areas, and it makes it, more probable that it goes up there without any significant jiggles. But we'll see how it unfolds. Right now, still just developing. Yep, FOMC minutes tomorrow, and there's some other stuff going out, some other reports, probably inflation related, that I read. But so maybe today is just going to be another chop day. Different stocks moved yesterday, down, and I don't know what moved up, but it was pretty, I think most of it was just corrective price action. So we just, same old factory work, see what's moving as far as markets go, set alerts at some significant area. Interest rates, what are they doing? They're kind of just nothing, just sitting there after the initial move. So turn the chart upside down. It's just what the markets are doing, and bottoming action. Kind of like the same old, the hook. Is it ready to flip back up? And after a certain amount of time, we sometimes, we say, hey, it didn't go in one direction, but it went in one direction because it didn't go in the other direction. And so this is suggestive that it'd go down. Now, there's no range expansion bars here. There's no rejections. And that's kind of what makes it not an ideal scenario, because if it takes out these highs right here, the wide range bar is the weakest link. And that could flip back up and throw the market lower. But so you set an alert over here. And if this starts going down, the dollar yesterday went up. So the markets went down, and now it's down a bit. You see the cursor right there, gapping down below the little narrow range day with plenty of support below, which leads me to think, hey, just more chop going, unless it can buy it, get through this. So we're getting our bias. Yeah. Right. TBT, TLT. Bottoming, retest, momentum move up, took out 2 pivots. Definitely worth the nibble. Intelligent speculation. So it really comes down to where you're going to put a stop, because this could easily jiggle down. What would make it a great setup is if it did jiggle down and you got a bottoming tail bar, or the wide range bar down and the green bar right up, the bullish 180. When they're narrow like this, putting a stop here doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's why, nibble, like small, bigger stop. So nothing happening there yet, but it looks like a bottoming pattern for sure. Spiders up a little bit within the trading range. Not much more to add to it, it's just nothing going on here. The movement is in individual stocks here and there, and they could easily just flip back in the other direction. So, be nimble. I didn't even look at SPX premium. Let me take a look at that. I was so taken by that email question, it threw me off course in my typical routine. But yesterday, things played out as anticipated as far as the market, and really not doing much of anything. So I was hesitant of the upside, but it never even came close, and the downside was just fine. Let's see here. 39.05 has acceptable premium, 75 by 85. But it's close. I don't think I'm not doing it. Look, it's just too damn close. And things, they tighten up. It would have to go down to that low. It could easily do that, then bounce back up, or it should bounce back up. But if it was down, if it did go down there, the idea is to look for the premium, if there's premium down here. So, you get a tick extreme, right? Like yesterday here, right? In the room yesterday, when I hit that, the ticks were doing nothing, right? Let me see if I can, right? They were doing nothing. Was it here? What time frame is this on? Got that, so 60-minute. Things were trending down. And then as it hit here, I said, okay, be careful. This is where, usually the gotcha thing sets up. Because as it was going down and the ticks were pretty much around the neutral level, back and forth, and it hit this, I said, watch, probably going to rip right back up again. That's exactly what it did. It was messy, It was not like something, oh, let's trade that. It was just a mess, but it's kind of like that hook scenario right there. But the ticks. So as it relates to SPX, when you see something like this, I mean, a lot of time went by, but if there wasn't much of the time decay scenario where those premiums get evaporated, sometimes this is like the exact point where you'd want to put on a put spread. As it's trending down, you get the tick extreme. If the premiums were there or down below, that's the setup to be looking for. If you're watching what's happening there using the ticks and trends and support and resistance. Yeah, so the 3905, but it's tight. 4,025. So, I mean, either of those are potentially within striking distance, and things are just kind of just sitting here. So, yeah. We'll see how it plays out, but it's not the no-brainers that we've seen, a lot of. Well, things are moving. It's holiday, people are away, lower volumes and all that. But Wednesday, it's tomorrow, maybe in the afternoon, and then typically Friday morning, things tend to be good. Same pattern there. YM, you see, it's an example of relative strength, but what do you do with it? This is going sideways where the others have moved down, but it's just such a mess up above, and this has made 100% retracement. It's not like, this is going sideways and it just started to move down here and it's got a void. So much of what we do is common sense. It's just putting it together, with multiple time frames. Voids, broader markets, and so on. Now, I kind of like this a little bit better. It's been the weaker, but look at all the pivots are clustered right here and it's starting to inch up. Now, the daily is nothing to get excited about, but as a scalper kind of scenario, that's a little bit of a better setup, kind of like picking through the junk as to which is the better or less potent junk. I don't know how to phrase that, but you can see what I mean. Here's the shakeout. It dips down and steps up again, and it's just inching above those pivots. Like Bitcoin, that was kind of wild yesterday, huh? And crude oil, and they're starting those hearings today. It's all going to be interesting how that all plays out. Just whippy scenario there. Yeah, crude oil yesterday. Right, this thing spiked down. And this is a great example of, man, you better have software that is either trailing your stop automatically, you're Johnny on the spot, where I drag the position lines down and move them around to trail. But by the time you blinked, you either, your profits were gone or you had a loss. But I mean, looking to the left set you up for at least a anticipation of a potential turn. Right, same little pullback kind of a pattern that's going on here. At resistance, it's the tail right there. And I like these. I just look. So when these pull back, here's my bias, right? Power move up, it's pulling back. It's got to take out a prior bars high just from this time frame. That's how we do it. Just gives a little extra confirmation that the turn is beginning to happen, because that's our first reference point of resistance. And ideally, we get some kind of dip lower, which we did have here, and it retraced back up. And now, some sideways action, just like I explained before, which could mean another day, like this day does nothing. So whether it's a daily time frame or an hourly time frame, things that have pictures like this, power moves and pullbacks, the ideal pattern is one in which, for me, you get a 3-bar turn, because it builds up a larger area of support on the smaller time frame, and you have pictures that say there's been accumulation on dips, and that is a higher probability pattern than just taking out a prior red bars high, which be like this pops up, takes out the pivots, and okay, it took out a prior bars high, but it's short-term extended. Whereas, ideally it comes back down again like this is doing. And putting together multiple time frames is a really important part of putting the odds in your favor. Saying spiders 397 zone, will it roll over or move sideways for more upside? Well, if I knew the answer to that for sure, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? And what I'm being asked is, those of you in the room, the spider's resistance is at 397, and up here, those pivots, will it go back down or will it go sideways for more upside? Well, nobody knows. Right. Those that sit on Learjets doing their advertisement probably could tell you, that they rented, about 30 minutes of time to take their video. But what we do know is if it comes up here, which is resistance, and goes sideways, and we get dips like this, that's the type of information that communicates that the majorities, whether it's institutions, traders, whoever, hedge funds, believe that it's going to go up. And if it comes up here and it collapses back down again, clearly that belief is not very strong. So we have a method that gives us the tools to read what is happening, right? So right now we've got opposing pivot highs and opposing pivot lows. They're getting tighter. Prices are at a resistance area. So far, they're not breaking down. And we use intermarket analysis and market internals, which here told us, be careful with the longs, right? Breadth was high. Sentiment reached an extreme. It's like, odds are this is not going to rocket higher without, it's just lower odds. And then, you start looking at other things, like we know financials have been stronger. Do they stay strong? Semiconductors have started to bring up the rear. What are they doing? How do they act? Right. So the 3-legged stool, techno fundamentals, technical analysis, market internals, intermarket analysis. And those 3 things put together are awesome. Versus just looking at a pattern and saying, hey, just red light, green light scenarios are easier to make decisions, but you wonder why one's work and why don't. Maybe you don't care, you just play the odds. But for those that want to put a little more work into educated trading decisions, it's techno fundamentals. Transports, same story here, holding up pretty well, but marking time like everything else. So I've talked too much. I got started a little late because of that email. Sorry about that. But all yours, Dan.
Good morning. So all 30 Dow stocks are lit up in green. Dow holding the best pre-market here. Yesterday was such a boring day, but going sideways is fine. Yesterday we did 3 earnings trades. One A Alpha, we sold the 1 1/4, $20 lower. That's gapping up. So let's bid. It's a month from now, so let's bid a dime to close it. We did DKS Condor. We did the 120s, whatever. It was so far away. And this is 100% exactly what you want to do in a Condor. You want it to open flat, because then you're making all the volatility contraction on both sides. Zoom, we did a put spread. Oh, we did the 66s way under this thing. It's gapping down, but this is going to be one that the volatility contraction is going to be bigger than the negative gap, and we're going to have a profit at the open. So I'll be bidding to close that. BNS here was on our list yesterday, a little breakout, little bank pattern. CSIQ earnings I like, gapping up here. So, I'm going to give it 30 minutes. I want to make sure this gap to resistance is going to hold. Here's some other earnings. ZTO. No, I don't like all these overlapping bars right here. I can't tell where you're gapping, but I'm going to delete you anyway. Delta Yankee. I don't know. We'll come back to you. GDS opening flat. It's kind of a little bull flag here, but I've got better stuff to look at. Urban, 27 bucks. All right, so that's a gap breakout. That's worth watching on a pullback. I can't tell where you're opening, and I don't like the way you trade. I'm deleting you. This is a buy setup with a 180 reversal at the 20. That's worth watching. Medtronic bearish gap under 80 here. So that's a call spread watch. ADI 166 bullish gap. That's worth watching. You said when I say worth watching, put it in a 5-minute window and let's see what happens. All right, Dollar Tree 155. It's a big gap, $10 down. I have no idea what it's going to do, so I have that in a window. We'll watch it. Baidu was up, now down. Chinese stock, I'm not messing with it. There's your BBY, but gap's too big, Stephen. I don't know what to do with that. So you can put it in a 5-minute window. 2840. Gap in the resistance. Burl. Gap's too big. DKS we talked about. VIPs. Sloppy all over the place. Hey, Costco alarm just went off. Look, Costco printing up here. So that's a long watch. I'll put that in a window. Shopping season, you would think. We talked about that. There's Alex AEO 14. I like the monthly. Whoa, look at a monthly as room to 18. So that's worth watching. Jack, bearish gap. It's leaving a lot of overhead resistance. So my initial bias would be to short a bounce. Cal, 30-minute high maybe. It'd be a no-brainer put spread if there's any juice there. HD, yeah. Oh yeah, we're already in it. But yeah, that's bullish, little rectangle kind of thing. Yeah, Home Depot looks good. AQN. Yeah, the only problem, Alex, when we do Climos and bottoming patterns, we're looking for a something turn, and there's none right now. We need a something. We need something. All right, ANF, big gap, but bullish. TNP. Capping down a little bit, but if it can recover and get over yesterday's high, it's a bullish daily, weekly, monthly. Go to 1.13 over 120. I got two alarms here. Munster, we're already in. There's my Home Depot alarm, Munster alarm. GRBK, we're in. That looks great. So Stolled alarm, we're already in. All right, so all four of these are alarms are in our favor. Let's just set new alarms here. Stolled, my alarm was at 105. Now I'll move it to 106. I had Home Depot alarm. Up $4, nice. All right, see bottom right, CSIQ. All right, Home Depot, let's move stop break even, then 30-minute low, because